G.A.D. Vegas Fulcha. Welcome back to another episode of Craic on the Coast, the podcast where we talk Irish history, culture, music, community, and the stories that connect Ireland and Irish America, not just here on the South Shore, but beyond. I'm your host, Mike Schilling.
And I'm Greg Shanahan. Thanks as always for joining us for another great conversation about topics near and dear to our heart.
And this week's episode is definitely important because we're going to get to the root of one of the reasons what it means to be a Hibernian, which is about service, remembrance, action. We're talking about the Hibernian Hunger Project and why the fight against food insecurity is so central to our shared history, but also our mission as Hibernians.
And we're honored to welcome William Bill Sullivan, National Chair of the Hibernian Hunger Committee for the Ancient Order of Hibernians, an organization near and dear to our heart. And Bill has been instrumental in guiding this initiative at the national level and helping local divisions across the country turn compassion into real, tangible support for people in need.
And we're going to talk about the Hibernian Hunger Project, how it was formed, how it works at the national and the local level, the impact it's had, including right here with our own Father John Murphy division. So it's a really good conversation I'm excited to have about, and to really just give more exposure to our audience and beyond members of the Ancient Order of Hibernians, because I think it's really important, right, Greg?
I would agree, Michael. This is a conversation about history, responsibility, and really living out our values today, not only as Irish Americans, but as people.
Yeah. So, Bill, welcome to the show. We're glad we could have you on.
I'm glad to be here. It's great to be here talking to you guys tonight. I remember going down to Plymouth back around 1991 or 2 when your division was formed. So I've seen it start and grow to what it is today. So I'm pleased to be with join you tonight.
I think Michael was in the 6th grade back then. But
he probably was. He probably was.
I probably was. Yep. Nope. That's true.
Before we get into the Hibernian Hunger Project itself, we like to give our listeners a sense of the person behind the work. Can you tell us a little bit about your background, your involvement with the Ancient Order of Hibernians, and how you came into this national role, which is just so important?
Well, I lived in Lawrence, Massachusetts. Now I live in North Andover. My division is in Lawrence, Massachusetts. It's 155 years old division this year. We're very proud of that. And I was elected president of my division back in 1980. Actually 79, but I took office in 80. And as time went on during that first 10 years, I went on to the county board, Essex County Board, went on to the state board. I served as the secretary, vice president, and president. And then in 1990, I was elected national director. One of the 6 national directors in the United States. I was reelected in 92. And in 94, of course, you can only serve 2 consecutive terms. I went on the board as the director of their scholarship programs, and I've been on ever since. So I'm now almost 36 years on the national board. That's sort of a little record, but it is what it is. And that's how it all came to be when when President O'Connell came in 2020, he asked if I'd take on the role of the hunger chairman, which I did, and I was pleased to do that. And now we're going on 6 years. The hunger programs was actually first launched, and it's always been out there in the AOH in various levels, but it was first launched in 2003. Ned McGinley from Pennsylvania was the national president, and he had a purpose in doing it. He said, first of all, because many Americans are here today, or many Irish Americans are here today because of the great hungers that occurred in Ireland in the late 1840s and 50s and so on. And so that's how a lot of Irish came to America. And they came here and took very menial jobs, but they rose through the ranks as time went on. And so he felt that because of that, the AOA members should give that back. So that's one of the reasons he did it. But also, a lot of people hear the word, the Great Hunger. They don't know what it means. So it was also purpose to teach not only Irish America, but people in general, what the Great Hunger was, how it affected Irish history, And then finally, the purpose was to show the generosity of the AOH at that time. So that's how it really came on focus. It may have been before, but it was formed in 2003 by Ned, and it's grown as time went on. So it gives you a little history and a little about myself. And what did I do for my life? I was a teacher. So, Mike, I didn't have you in the 6th grade, but I was I was a teacher at one time. Then I became a assistant principal, and a district administrator. So I've been all over the spectrum.
Oh, there you go. Well, it's important, like you were saying, the fact that we can use the Hunger Project as a way to obviously help people, but also bring awareness to something that people might not be aware of. Like you said, not just Irish America, but even in general. I know one thing that we're trying to do down here on the South Shore, Plymouth, the town of Plymouth has an elective in their high school system that has Irish history in it. And that's something we're trying to get put in and instituted beyond just Plymouth throughout the South Shore, because we think it is important. I mean, you learn from your mistakes and you learn from history. So it's important to give that awareness of what happened during that time period.
About 20 or 25 years ago in Massachusetts, some Hibernians on the state went. In fact, there were 2 I can think of offhand, went down and testified. Me and a past national president from Watertown, Massachusetts, who just passed away back in July. And the other was Dave Burke, my own division. They went down and testified, and they were trying to get that into the curriculum for Massachusetts. They did get it in. I don't know if it's ever really been implemented. I have never seen it, but I'm glad to hear in Plymouth that that's what's going on there as an elective.
It's just so important. I mean, we think about it, we talk about it a lot, in our division. I mean, we live down here in the Irish Riviera. It's, one of the highest concentration of Irish and Irish Americans in the country and in the world. And, it's just not talked about enough. And our shared history becomes our shared values. And it would be so important for these young people to learn about it, and so valuable on a historical level, too, because it's not just the history of Ireland. It's the shameful history of England. It's, the impact it had on not just the United States, but Canada, Australia. I mean, it's the worldwide impact in the spread of the Irish, in a large part, the genesis was the Great Hunger. So I do think
a lot of Irish people came to America, never talked about the past. They didn't. It was so bad they just wanted to forget it.
Right.
So that's why it was sort of, shall we use the word, lost for a time. But I'm glad it's now getting out there. Back on the 150th anniversary in roughly 2000, I think it was, a lot of these and go to more memorials were established throughout the country. They're in large cities, Boston, they're in Massachusetts and various places. We have one in our own city here in Massachusetts, in Lawrence. And so it's great. People can notice and really know what happened.
Now, let's get into the Hunger Project with regards to the Ancient Order of Hibernians and how that has affected since that's been instituted. Now, obviously, we can share with our audience, the national organization puts an incentive in there for divisions to participate in the Hibernian Hunger Project. There's financial awards that are given out every year to divisions that put on whatever they do to fulfill that mission. But the question I would ask, and I'm sure you have these statistics, is since 2003, what has been the impact that the AOH has been able to do nationwide?
Well, the impact, of course, is divisions have stepped up to the plate. Let me just use one example that we can all relate to. If you go to the pandemic in 2020, just 6 years ago almost, I think we all remember seeing on TV the lines of people who had been laid off from their jobs. I remember seeing it was Los Angeles. There were miles and miles of cars, people getting food. And I think that just gave an example. There was a great need out there. Now, in Philadelphia during that same year, Philadelphia Hibernians, from various sources, working with the city of Philadelphia, got out there and fed over 750,000 people. That's in one city.
Wow.
That just shows you the impact in one city. And that was in 2020. Uh, Other people, for example, there was in Babylon, New York, every Saturday morning, the division opened their division hall for young people to come, children, to be fed breakfast and lunch because the schools were closed. So there was a lot of impact. Those are just two. In another place in Pennsylvania, in Division 3 and 5, work together. They have a center there that one of their brother members owns a building and he's donated for their use. And in that, they feed people daily. But because during the pandemic, you couldn't feed within buildings, they purchased or made connections with another, like a bus company, or it was a van they used actually. And they were going out and delivering food in the neighborhood, on street corners. Part of that building also is used for clothing and for furniture. So they do it, and that's been going on for about 15, 20 years. So it's had a tremendous impact in certain areas. Um, every division, your own division, you have that. I think it's great how you print out that sheet of items that are needed, and you hand that to people as they go into, I think it's Market Basket, but I don't want to give a
Yeah,
plug.
yeah, Market Basket.
You give it to people and they come out and donate food. And you can see when money is donated to these food banks, people they purchase a lot more food. Down there, for example, what you can purchase for $1 or $5, they can do 10 times that. So I'll be here. It's not unusual for a division in say New York or wherever, to donate food to a food bank, 11,000 pounds of food. Out in Nebraska, the division in Omaha, they formed a 501c3, a little separate, and they can buy, because in Omaha you can buy beef cheaper than you can in Massachusetts, and they would stock up, and they would buy 10 to 20,000 pounds of beef. In addition to that, they also bought other items, necessities. They went out once, the fellow told me he bought 10,000 rolls of, excuse the expression, TP, toilet paper, because people need those things. People have
Sure.
to. So they go out and do those things. A lot of divisions, what they've done is they've had at Christmas time, they'll donate baskets, or Easter, or it could be Thanksgiving. They collect money and they give baskets to various places, parish halls. They go to different centers. They collect food. They give money. So it's throughout the country. People are doing these things. Down in Louisville, Kentucky, for example, the Hibernians on St. Patrick's Day, or the Friday before St. Patrick's Day, cook up a corned beef lunch and give it to all the hospital employees, plus any of the police or firemen in the area can come and have a free lunch, just to show that, to give back. So there's all types of programs going on out there, and they continue to grow every year. Some people in New Jersey, what they've done is they have a bowling tournament to collect money, and that money is given to a local food bank. We've heard in New York they do a road bowling. So in other words, there's lots of things that people are using in different places. I think down in Plymouth you may use that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, one
Mhm.
thing that, and Greg can attest to this, is that I really feel like when you give people the opportunity to make it easy to give back, they will take advantage of it. And I remember the first year we had our food drive outside of Market Basket, the amount of people that not only came up and said thank you for just being there to collect the food, but surprisingly, the amount of people that would come up and donate and tell you their story of when they needed the service of a food pantry. And I don't think that's something that they normally would share, but I think they were so moved and being able to give back whatever they could give back, that they felt like they had to make that known, that, I'm giving back because I've been in the position of someone who's needed a food pantry to get through a rough time. And I think just the fact that us as an organization can do that nationally and give people those opportunities and give people hope that there are groups out there that are really taking it to heart with regards to even now in this day and age with the way things are, the fact that there's still people in our country that need help just to feed themselves. It really does hit home.
People don't realize they think sometimes a lot of they don't think really hunger exists in their community. Unfortunately, there's very few communities in this country that there isn't hunger. And
Right.
we see that in the even your better off cities, or better off areas where people living there that are just getting by, and the and let's be honest, we're not the only ones that do this. We've all seen various churches, food pantries, soup kitchens run by other groups, but we've got involved, and I think it's good for the order because it shows that people like to see people on the community working, and it's going to help the Hibernians. I always believe in the increasing membership because they're not just seen on one item, one certain thing. They're seen as community activate or oriented, I should say.
Yeah, it's so important, the work just at our division level, and as you know, they often refer to us as the little division that could. But just to see the the gratitude that the various, churches and food banks that we partner with have every year, it's incredibly sobering, and it really makes you pause because they are happy for anything you can give them. Whether it's 10 boxes of food, whether it's, an envelope full of money or gift cards, it's very sobering. And we do it around the holidays too. So it makes you feel the importance of it even more. And it's one of the things, just on a personal level that makes me proudest to be part of the Father Murphy division is our food drive. And we have a great history. It's run incredibly well with, John Travers, who's
Yeah,
the
I mean, it really is all
brother
hands
who's
on
taught
deck
us
type
all.
of
Yeah,
situation for us. Yeah.
yeah, but Michael, as president, really has it down to a science now, like you said, with that pamphlet out there, and people respond, and it's so meaningful. So I do hope that I do think that people look very kindly on the Hibernians when we're out doing this work in the community.
Well,
It
I
certainly is
also
a
would,
good positive.
yeah, and I would say that our food drive, I mean, I've said this in our meetings. I think our food drive is probably the most important thing that we do every year as Hibernians at this point. And I also think that it gives us the most exposure. I mean, we were in our third year partnered up with Market Basket this year, and it was a situation where people were expecting us this time.
Yeah.
They were waiting for us to
Good.
announce when we were going to be there so that they could show up. And we had other community leaders come out and help. um, One thing I don't want to turn this into a commercial for Market Basket, but I will say the people that worked there and at our local store, they could not be any more excited to participate in our day when we have it. I mean, the store manager there comes out and he greets us, and he stands with us. They make announcements on the loudspeaker in the store that we're out there and what we're doing. And I really think, I mean, every year it's grown. And this year, what was it, Greg? I mean, we delivered 15 boxes of food to like 5 or 6 different food pantries. It was, for the little bit that we can do based on the size of our division, it amazes me that we've been able to grow that much over the last 3 years.
Yeah, it
That's
was a
great.
lot this year, and I thought that, with the political climate in the country and the timing of it around the holidays, people were even more willing to give because they knew it was going to be a tight holiday for a lot of people, and that's what was really getting me. But I would say we did probably half again as much this year as we did last year, and last year was a very big year for us too.
Yeah.
So it's all about the partnership, but it's about the all hands on deck too. I mean, I always laugh. The Market Basket, wants us to have a couple of guys out there, and you show up and half the division's there, and they have a tent set up, and it's just a great day. But if you want to feel good um, about your fellow man, that's the day because the generosity is amazing.
We do our food drive up here in March, not because it's just March, because we once found out that that's one of the times of the year the food pantries are starting to run dry because they get a lot of food around the holidays. People season of giving. And so that's when we do ours in March, and it works out very well. Our members in the division contribute very generously, some money, some canned goods, whatever. It works out well. And of course, some divisions do it throughout the country in various months as well. Most are in the fall, as you mentioned, but many are in different times of the year.
Now, I would say now, in hopes that we would have a lot of national Hibernians listening to something like this, because it's a program that's a national program and it affects all divisions.
Mhm.
Could you go into the process, Bill, of what the Hibernian Hunger Project at the national level, what it does, how it takes in applications, and that process, just to educate? Maybe there's a division out there that isn't fully informed as to what the process is.
I'm sure there are some that, especially new presidents, may not be, or division officers. What we do is the program runs from January the 1st to December 31st of the calendar year. And anything that you do to serve hunger, you fill out. We have an application that's online. You can, it's online in two places. It's where the forms are in the National Secretary's office on the web page. It's also, there's a section on the web page for various committees, and it tells a little about the Hibernian Hunger Project there as well. But there's also a current application. You would fill out one application for the whole year. If you had 6 events, you're not filling out 6 applications. You're filling out one, but you condense everything on there. And then they're due in on February the 15th. And then what happens is the committee starts looking at them, and they go over all the applications, not just once, but it's a committee of 5 or 6 people look at them. And then they bring them down, and they choose 5 that will receive a $1,000 award or scholarship award, and they'll choose 24 that have a $500 awards. And the purpose of that is you're supposed to take that money and use it for hunger in your own area. You could use it as a startup, whatever. So, yeah, it's an incentive. We get X number of applications. We'd like to get more. Not every division by far submits an application. And what's always amazed me is sometimes some divisions get an award, you never hear from them again. And it's not that they stopped hunger. They just, well, we got an award once, we didn't want it again. I said, there's no harm in getting an award if you were lucky enough to get one every year. I'm not saying that's going to happen. Probably wouldn't. But the point is, we want to get as much applications in with this information. Now, what do we do with this information? We'll go to we go to a national board meeting like we had in October. We have a national convention next July in Omaha, and we'll give out the information. We take all the information that comes from all the applications, and that gives us an idea how much we helped. Now, the truth of the matter is we know we do more because most divisions, I hate to say it, do not pass an application in. But where else is that data used? It's used by the national board when they file for grants, saying how much divisions in their country have committed to the hunger cause in this country, in their local areas. So it has it's just not, how we're doing. It gives that, and those grants are useful in Ireland. They can apply to grants the government island, the national board can. And it gives them a little, say, well, gee, the Hibernians are doing something, not just sitting on their money, and they're using it for good causes. So it has many prongs. As I say, we give out these scholarship, I call them scholarships, give out the rewards for the hunger. But in addition to that, then we take that and we'll give those we'll say whatever it was for the national. I mean, we projected last October at the national board meeting, there was nearly the Hibernian divisions that we could actually sit down and say exactly how many people they fed. And we know there were more. It was at least 2 million people.
Wow.
That's not bad. And
No.
so we'll have a figure when we go to the convention in Omaha in July. We'll say over the past 2 years, we've fed so many, but we believe it's much higher because many divisions, for whatever reason, don't want to collect the data or whatever it is. Maybe they're not aware of it. That also tells me not reading the Hibernian Digest, but that's a whole other story or whatever. So I'm just saying that out there. So it gives
Oh
you a
no,
little, yeah,
and the award, like you said, I mean, we were privileged enough, not this past year, but the year before, to win one of the $500 awards, and we were able to turn around and we donated that $500 to a local soup kitchen, and that was a huge deal for them. You know, that amount of money to be able to use that for their resources, and that was something we didn't even think twice about. We were like, well, we gave food, so if we have money, who can we best help? And it was a local soup kitchen that's open every Friday in the Plymouth area. So I definitely I agree with that statement about being able to take that and turn that around and make it even more impactful. So
and so it's just not you've done before, but now you're giving the money. The national board is giving money to wherever it be in that case.
hmm yeah, I
Yeah.
understand the grant stuff. I mean, our division's taking advantage now 2 or 3 years in a row, right, Greg, of the immigrant support program, and the the government of Ireland is amazing with regards to its support of its diaspora, as long as they feel, like you said, that the money is going towards worthwhile causes.
Right. And the government's very generous on Ireland, as I say. They want it worthwhile, something that's going to benefit the people, Irish people, or whatever. Okay.
Actually, the government of the Republic of Ireland spends more money per capita on its diaspora than any other nation in the world.
And that's certainly appropriate considering what happened in Ireland back 150, 170 years ago.
Exactly. But what a turnaround if you think about it. I mean, because those dollars that are sent here, you know, in the United States, and Michael and I, you know, both are involved in groups that benefit greatly from it. You know, impact everybody. You know, it's not just our own, you know, Irish and Irish American community. It's the community writ large who benefit from these things. So, Bill, you know, one of my questions, all of my questions have been answered by you. You've given us an absolute master class in the Hibernian Hunger Project and how to effectively run one and what the impact is, and it's amazing. But you know, one thing I would ask is, thinking both at the division and the national level, how can we as Hibernians ensure that the Hunger Project continues and grows? Because it's undoubtedly been a massive success, as you said, in ways we might not even know when data doesn't get reported up. But you know, how can we ensure that we continue to help? What are some of the ways you would
I
suggest?
think that one way you can do it, believe it or not, is submitting an application. Because when the national board sees X number of applications, it's encouraging. One thing that I hate to say it kills a program on any level if there's no participation.
Sure.
You know, I mean, they try. Well, how many times do a division say, well, "Let's do this"? Didn't work out. Let's try it a second or third year, and then they say no. As long as they see there's uh, a need out there, the board would certainly continue it. And you know, the other purpose of as I say personally, is a picture is worth 1,000 words. When you're doing that, as you do down at Market Basket, get that picture in the local newspaper. It's going to help many, not just, it's good publicity for the division, but also what it does is it'll help your membership grow. Gets the word out there. It's surprising that some divisions who have been in an area for 50 years, people don't even know they exist, especially if they don't have a division home. If you have a division home, but even if you could have that, they don't know about it. So one way you can help the Hunger Project is keep submitting those applications. The other thing is just talk it up among your local communities, and that will help the national board in the long run.
Great advice.
Yeah. I also think it's great inspiration for new members who come on board. I mean, our food drive this year, we had one or two of new members who had only been a member for less than a year, and they participated in our food drive, and they walked out of that day, like Greg said, like I don't know how you can't feel good about being a Hibernian and helping your fellow man after experiencing a day like that. And we had two new members who walked away feeling that way that day. And I think that's a great way to get new members participating and get them to feel the reward of being a Hibernian.
When new members come in, get them, try to encourage them to be more active, to attend the next meeting. The more meetings they attend, the more active they'll become. And once they feel that they're needed, then they'll become more active and they could be a future officers or whatever. But when people come, you want to make them feel they join that for a purpose, not just to be a card carrying member.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. So what do you think, Greg? Do you think we covered everything that we needed to do about the Hibernian Hunger Project?
Well, I think Bill did a great job covering everything. But
Well, I don't know. I
definitely learned
tried.
a lot.
I'm not working with notes. I didn't study ahead of time. So, I wasn't prepped. I read what we were going to talk about tonight. And I didn't know we were going to be on video until I reread it again. And I said, oh, video. Podcast. So I
Trust
said,
me, this is the first time for everything.
but of course, I wore a black shirt, and I see I'm in the background here, and which could be well, but not bad because we've been renovating this house. I mean, we've been here 30 some odd years, and we tore it apart, the kitchen and this area here. It's been about 3 months. It's going to be finished this month. That was one of the reasons we went to Texas to get away from the construction. But
Well, one of the big reasons why our division wanted to do this is to kind of spread the word of being able to share what it means to be a Hibernian. Like you said, there's a lot of places, even in our own community, when we're out and about doing what we do, the amount of people who are Irish Americans that walk up to you and say, "What's a Hibernian? Like, what's the AOH all about?" And I think doing it on this platform might just get that word out a little bit more. And I think that's a great thing.
well, I'll tell you a funny story. Lawrence, where our division was once a very Irish town. It's not so much now. And back probably about 50 years ago, when there was still a lot of Irish in Lawrence, one of my cousins told a friend, and this is around March 17th now, so we're talking March. Told her, she said she was going to a Hibernian dinner dance, and her friend looked right at her and said, "The Germans always have the best food." So apparently at that, and we always laugh. We laugh, it's 50 years ago, whatever. We laugh, and I said, in this city, no one even knew what a Hibernian was. They thought I was a German group. So I said, I know, of course, the word Hibernian comes Hibernia, which was the Roman name for Ireland, but I guess they think we must hibernate.
Yeah.
So maybe we're better saying AOH or whatever. And I always say the Ancient Order of Hibernians, but we're not all ancient.
Yeah, there you go. I think my thing is that when you're involved and you're doing what we do, there's a lot of talk about how organizations such as ours, or even not even just organizations in general, there's not a place for in society anymore. And I just feel like when you join and you put in the time and you participate, then you really figure out that we're still very much needed and it's very important for groups of people to get together for no other purpose other than just to do good.
Every organization does good. Hopefully, that's their purpose, we'd like to think. But also the fraternity. You meet with people who have similar values to your own and so on. Certainly, throughout this country, fraternal organizations are not what they were 50 years ago, let's say. There's a lot less joining and so on. Years ago, if your father was a member, you became a member and so on. But that doesn't happen today, unless you force them. I just think that, and that's all organizations. It could be the Knights of Columbus. I've seen Knights of Columbus organizations sell their halls to really disband and so on. And it's sad. Just when there's also been French social organizations, so on. So every organization has something to contribute. The AOH, I think, contributes not just in a concept. It's we do it to educate our members, but the general public. And also we want to show the good that's going on. Hopefully by using this hunger project, people will learn about what happened to Ireland 150, 160 years ago. They don't realize 175 years ago. They don't realize what people starved in the streets. And if they've ever seen like Black 47, the movie, you'd find that just saw how people literally died and they were just left there. People, they always said that before in the 1880s, when people left Ireland, the night before, that they knew they'd never come back, and so they always said they'd have a wake the night before because when they left, they never saw their families again. Because when they came to America back 150 years, 175 years ago, there was no going back, and they always hoped to come back here for. They had heard about the streets of gold. Unfortunately, when they got here, they found out the streets, there may have been gold streets, but not where they lived. So there's they had a lot of tough times. I know my great grandmother herself came into this country with uh, 3 children. She was a widow. She was in her late 20s or maybe about 30. And she came with $5 in her pocket. And that was, of course, probably a lot more worth today than $5 today. And she worked as a cleaning lady, washing floors, and her pay was $2 a week. And she was a snowstorm one night and she lost it. And she went back to try to find it. She never did. But that $2 is like losing your whole pay for the whole week. And but just thinking, people today, $2 maybe not be that much. But we got to realize people really do not have food at home. That's why you see them at the food line. They go, I think, and I've known of places where they have these, we'll call them soup kitchens or whatever you want, and you see young children there, and that's the sad part. And so hunger is out there. It's in our communities. We may not like to think about it, but at the same time, it's there. But we have to be realistic, help our fellow man to, to survive, and hopefully improve their lives as well.
I couldn't agree more, Bill. I mean, it's the story itself of the Great Hunger and what happened to the Irish people is, one of just massive human cruelty when you get right down to it. I mean, we prefer to not say the word famine because famine is, by definition, a natural occurrence where the entire food and ecosystem, whether it's produce or livestock, fail. What happened in Ireland was the failure of one crop. It just so happened that 1/3 of the population was reliant on that crop, and the government continued to send beef and grain and everything else out of the country, and ended up removing or killing a quarter of the population. But the good part of the story is the stories we always hear of when people came over here to America or to Canada, the great help they received, and the sense of community and how they bonded together and survived those hard times and became so successful here in the United States. So I think really our Hibernian Hunger Project, in a lot of ways, is a continuation of that. I think that the urge to help people and the drive to step up in times of need is really ingrained in Irish Americans from that tragic but ultimately victorious history.
When I was growing up, we called it the great famine. The famine, as you say, famine means there's really no food, but that's not the case. There was food in Ireland, as you just mentioned, Greg. It was shipped out, and yes, most of the people did live on potato because it was the cheapest way they could live. But as you mentioned, there was no famine. That's a fabrication. It was food, but when I was younger, it wasn't until back probably about 40 years ago, with whatever 35 years ago, we came in with the idea of the Great Hunger, because that was to eradicate the idea that there was no famine. That's a fallacy. It was a lie that was put out there in the world. And so when people say the famine, no, that's not true. And facts prove that out.
Right. Yeah, there's been a lot of once the academics got their hands in it to do the research, there's no question about that now.
And we can't talk about it enough. And Michael knows, and I actually got a gentle warning about getting up on my soapbox during the podcast today on it. But it's a story that's near and dear to my heart. And one of the Michael was talking about the academics. I mean, the biggest proof that you that you need is the potato blight occurred throughout Europe.
Mm-hmm.
It's Belgium all the way over to Germany, and it was bad on, of course, the sort of the poor population in those countries, but there wasn't a mass immigration. There wasn't an exodus of its citizenry, and there weren't anywhere near the level of deaths. I mean, the population level in Ireland just recently got back to, sort of pre-Great Hunger levels. I mean, that's
Right.
how long it took, and we actually had a discussion at an event earlier late last year where we're talking about the ongoing generational trauma that continues on with people who had relatives, third, fourth, fifth generation who came over during that time, and it's incredibly important that we don't ever stop talking about it, learning about it, and hopefully teaching it, but embodying again that spirit of assistance and care that brought so many people to America and brought them through when they got here.
What you just pointed out was only last year that took 175 years or whatever exactly it was to get the population back to what it was in pre-famine, great hunger terms. So it's amazing. Took a long time.
Well, Bill, I would say, this is obviously an important conversation. I'm glad we had it on the show today. I really would encourage any divisions, whether you're a part of your officer board or if you're just a card carrying member. If you listen to the show and got the information today to really be inspired to, if you have never done a hunger project and submit the application to the national afterwards, I would definitely promote you to do that. I think that's an important mission that we can all get behind.
I think that would be a great way to set off the year. We're setting off a new year,
Yeah.
2026. So people have, today's the 6th. So you have 359 days left to do a hunger project. Look at the possible. We're not looking at
like a true teacher.
we're looking at half mainly full. So you got, do something. The idea is sit down and come up with an idea and, try it out. Do something the following year. If you think it worked well, expand on it, or you can change it. It's never too late. As I always say, in the fall, there's lots of giving. You can have donations of food, or the division can donate money if they want, however they want to do it. Soup kitchens are always looking for volunteers. Whether it be just, even sometimes people go in and make sandwiches. As I mentioned, there was that division down in Pennsylvania. A group of people go in and make sandwiches during the daytime, or so then people can take them out at night to the different neighborhoods. So there's lots of things you can do. People can always contact me if they have any questions. I'm very happy to help them however I can.
Yeah, and we'll put the links to the pages on the AOH website that talk about the Hibernian Hunger Project. We'll put the links to the application form, and we'll put your contact information all in the show notes. So when people see the show, they'll have direct access to be able to get to all those places.
And I hope I get lots of people contacting me.
I was just going to say, just in case you're not busy enough this year.
We know bill collectors.
But thank you again, Bill, for joining us.
Enjoyed it. I appreciate it. And have a great night, a great year. I want to wish Division 9 a very successful year ahead of these podcasts. And I want you to send me the link where these podcasts can be seen, because I know some people that want to watch them.
Sure, definitely.
All right.
Definitely.
So, Bill, thanks again. Bill, thanks again, and thanks for everything that you do throughout the year, beyond the Hunger Project. You're definitely a role model as a Hibernian, and we can't possibly thank you enough for being here today. And to our listeners, we want to thank you for spending part of your day with us. If you'd like to learn more about the Hibernian Hunger Project or get involved, like Mike said, we'll post those links in the show notes, and we appreciate your support.
Yeah,
we look at this as a cooperative effort from everyone.
There you go.
Undoubtedly.
As always, be sure to follow Craic on the Coast on social media. subscribe, and you'll see when this episode and all of our episodes are released. But yeah, I would say that's it for this episode. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, share it with a friend. If you've got a story to tell or you'd like us to cover something, you can email us at craiconthecoast@gmail.com. That's CRAIC on the coast @gmail.com. And that'll be it, folks.
Have a
Wonderful.
great night.